imagine after these storms too, something else I wanted to mention, some people will have their pets that just freak out in storms, as you know.
Absolutely.
And then unfortunately, every once in a while, one of them might get out, and those poor animals are terrified. I don't know, if you come across these strays or whatever, you know.
Check to see if they have, you know, a chip or obviously a tag with their identification on them. And if you have a dog who is storm phobic and freaks out, the best thing to do is, you know, bring them inside. Yep. Because if they're outside in the fence, all they're going to want to do is get out of where they are, because they think that that's where the storm is, and they'll jump fences, under fences, all of that. Now, conversely, they also will try to break out of homes, because if they're in the, maybe if I get out of here, it won't be this bad. So you just have to keep an eye on him. Beetlejuice is like that, but he's more secure in the pen that we keep him in. You know, he sleeps in that, and that's his safe spot. So we'll put a thunder shirt on him, and he's glad to go in there. We give him a little chew toy and close the door, and he weathers the storm. Either that or he goes upstairs and hides under the bed. Right, right. Good things. That's okay. Oh, I was just saying, we dog sat a yellow lab this weekend. How was that? I need to show you the picture. He's great. His name's Dudley. I called him Dud. They're just You're not used to large dogs. I know. And now he is only 12 weeks, but I mean, he's big already. He's going to be a big boy. And I was tackling him and rolling him. Those dogs are the coolest cats. Yeah. Smart and mellow, and they're not going to destroy everything. I know they'll choose some stuff, but he was great. Just a great dog. I mean, and you look in their faces, they just look smart. They're cute. And friendly. Oh, yeah. They just a very nice, friendly face in a yellow lab. All right, let's take a call from Sherry. Sherry, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, Sherry. How are you doing?
Great.
What's up?
I have a question for your veterinarian, and it concerns their annual, I'm going to call it shots, vaccines. When they're puppies, you make sure that they get all of their DHLPP, whatever all that stands for, and rabies. But I understand from reading that some of these vaccines last up to 3 to 5 years. Is this correct? And if it is, why do we have to vaccinate them annually with the same thing again? This concerns me. So
that's a great question.
And I've read pros and cons on it, but the biggest part of what I've read is saying that these vaccines do last up to 3 to 5 years.
Okay. So that's a great question, and here's the thing. They can last up to 3 to 5 years in individuals, and there's no way to predict who is going to have that or not. If you don't want to vaccinate your dog every year, we can check titers on them, which is pulling some blood, sending it to the lab, and seeing if they're distemper parvo, if they have immunity to that. Now, I won't even check a titer on a dog until they've had all their puppy shots and then their first year shots. So puppy, and then a year later. And then after that, if you want to check titers, we can make sure that that distemper and parvo they do have immunity. Some dogs won't. Some dogs will. Just because they can does not mean that they are protected. I have seen dogs that I have done titers on for 4 years and had great immunity. I've seen a dog that didn't have good immunity the next year. So it's hard to say absolutely yes, these dogs have immunity. So there are ways that we can check that. There are some vaccinations that are labeled for 3-year use. They're much more expensive. So you can talk to your veterinarian about that. It is just, you know, we have almost gotten rid of distemper in this country in dogs. I've seen 2 distemper cases in almost 20 years, 2. And in the 70s and early 80s, it was rampant, and they really started vaccinating, and they're gone. Same thing with parvo. When I first got out of veterinary school, I probably saw 8 to 10 cases of parvo a year in the summertime, which is usually when it hits pretty bad. I think I maybe saw 1 last year.
It's like rabies. It's that rare now? Wow.
And so, you know, I understand the concern about vaccinating, but what we're looking at, and this goes for people as well, we are looking at the herd health, herd of people, herd of dogs. You know, if you vaccinate your dog to keep your dog from getting these diseases, the dog that lives down the street from you who has medical issues and can't get vaccinated because they have problems tolerating them, or we don't want to stress their immune system, vaccinating your dog is helping protect this dog. It's called herd health immunity. And so it's very important. It's the same thing with children and people. You know, if everybody gets vaccinated who can, the people who can't get vaccinated are even more protective and aren't going to get it, and we're going to have fewer incidents of these diseases. I mean, measles was almost eradicated in this country, and it's making a comeback because people aren't vaccinating.
Yeah, right.
Same thing. So talk to your veterinarian. Yes, you are correct that they can last 3 to 5 years, but there's no guarantee on who it will last in. So talk to them about doing titers, or maybe about getting the 3-year vaccine. Usually it's more economical to just vaccinate the dog once a year because the 3-year vaccine and the titers are more expensive than the vaccination.
And now the follow-up shots called boosters, or is it the same vaccine all over again? You remember when you used to have a booster shot sometimes after you had a tetanus shot?
It's the same.
So it's the
in
same
people
type of thing.
and in us. So like when they're puppies or kittens, they get like a series of 3 to 4 depending on their age. It's the same vaccination over and over again. Okay. And the reason is that we need to make sure their immune system is ready to accept that vaccination, and they need 2 of them when their immune system is at a certain point. So when they're nursing on their mom, their immunity is up here. Yeah. They can only really accept and utilize a vaccination when this immunity starts dropping. And so it starts dropping after their antibodies from their mom go away. And we need to get 2 vaccines in this spot right here before they get down here where they can catch all these diseases. Okay. That's why we give so many to puppies. Probably 2 out of the 4 aren't doing anything, but there's no way to know. Right. There's no way to know. Same thing with babies. You take the baby in for a 1 week and a 3 month, I don't know what the schedule is, but they get a series. Same thing. Okay. They are getting a series because we need to hit their immune system twice in this certain area, and there's no way to predict when that area happens. So you just kind of shotgun it. You know, you get a big scatter approach, and you 2 of them will land in the right spot.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That's when they're young too, when they're just developing their immune system and getting strong.
After that, it's just 1 vaccination. Like we might do 3 or 4 in a puppy of the distemper, lepto, hepatitis, parvo, parainfluenza, which is the DHLPP that she was talking about. And then annually, they just get 1 booster of that.
Do dogs ever have you seen reactions to these vaccines? Can they have some negative reactions to some of them?
Sure, the most common vaccine reaction that we see, and it's really not that common, you know, we might see 4 or 5 a year, is some facial swelling. Okay. We can really cut back on vaccine reactions by not combining a lot of vaccinations together. So if you have a small breed dog and they've had vaccine reactions in the past, it could very well be that they got all of their vaccines at one time. So I typically recommend, if you have a small breed dog, let's do our distemper and our bordetella, and we'll come back later for our rabies. And we just kind of split them up a little bit, and they do great.
I'm trying to remember what it was, because I remember one of our pugs had a reaction once, exactly what you said. It didn't hurt him, and it went down, but it was like, all of a sudden, like he had his wisdom teeth pulled and swelled up. Like a chipmunk dog, but anyway, he was okay. And we figured out what it was, and now we avoid that, and we do it differently. All right, well, good answer. I can tell that's something you've thought about. That was a detailed answer and a good question from Sherry.
Yeah, it was a great question.
All right, the number 737-7587. If you want to jump in, questions for Allison. Let's go next to Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Nick and the raccoons.
How are you? That's me.
You know, the word raccoon comes from Algonquin Indian phrase.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Raccoon, which roughly translated means little washing bear, little bear the washing.
Isn't that? Look, we've learned something.
Also, the raccoon is the official Tennessee state animal.
I love raccoons.
Oh,
I love raccoons.
Too. They're so cute.
I used to live in Bellevue, and remember I wrote the children's story, City Cat and Country Raccoon. We had a lot in Bellevue, but when I moved out in the country by Binocular Fairview, by Natchez Trace, they're smarter out here. They're more wary of the people that out here, they hunt them. Yeah. And in the city, we used to give them little crackers. But I wanted to get to her about my cat. She knows I called in a couple times about Buddy. She's familiar with the chartreuse breed. It's in the Russian blue family. And, you know, he had a few things, because he's a rescue cat. He came by and he was almost dying. Remember his leg that I had to fix because he had an abscess. So, and then, you know, he's doing okay. It's just that he was licking on his lower legs and stuff. And we did the steroid shot. We don't have to do that too much. And then the pheromone collar, we've got that on there. Now, again, we tried it once a while back. It seems like the little gray hairs are going back on the at first it was just his front leg, then they started doing his back. So then we tried behavior modification. When he goes, I try to poke him. He'll stop when I tell him to stop. But it's just I can't watch him all the time. So I got the pheromone collar on here for the second time, and he goes in monthly for his Revolution treatment. And I used to do it myself with Advantage, but I didn't put it on right, whatever. So I take it in for the Revolution every month.
Good job.
Back up. So I don't know what else I can do, but he seems to be doing okay. It's more cosmetic than anything. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like you're on top of it.
What is the Revolution? What was he referring to?
Revolution is a flea and one or maybe two kinds of ticks, as well as heartworm prevention and a couple intestinal parasites.
All right. Yep. Brian's on top of it. It sounds like at this point he's doing everything right. Nothing else, and didn't sound like he had a problem. The cat's doing. Cat's lucky to have you as an owner. That's all I'm going to say, Brian. I mean, Brian's a little odd. He's an odd cat, but he's a good pet owner.
Right.
He's a very good pet owner. We'll take a break. When we come back, more of your phone calls, 737-7587. If you have a question about your pet or an animal, Allison Fields is here. We'll take your calls right after this. Stay with us.
This is